rule number one, which is not even really a rule, but it's kind of a prerequisite more than anything, which is build drive for the game, right? So obviously I just spent all this time talking about, how it could create problems when the dogs get too driven for the game and there's not enough impulse control and stuff like that. But I think a lot of times people shoot themselves in the foot if they want to utilize play for something like training, or they want to utilize play for something like, burning energy off or providing physical and mental stimulation, stuff like that, is they try to add too much control to the game too quickly, right? So yes, there are absolutely varying levels of intensity of dogs liking to play, right? But in many cases, I think a lot of people create this picture in their head of play with their dog with something like a ball should be you wait, I throw it, you get it, you bring it back, you let it go immediately, right?
Yeah.
That's a lot of control if you really break it down early on. Those are a lot of individual pieces that you have to teach, right? Waiting for the ball, that's a piece that you have to teach, right? Chasing the ball, generally they know how to do that. Obviously, as you said, Bender even kind of knows how to chase it, right? Bringing the ball back, that independently is a piece you have to teach, right? Letting go of the ball, that's something that you independently have to teach, right? And if you try to focus on all of those things at once, the whole purpose of play, which is the dog enjoying themselves and burning off some steam and having a good time, goes immediately out the window.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? So commonly we hear people talk about my dog doesn't like play, and I'll have them show me like, how are you playing with your dog, right? And they're asking the dog to do 8 million things, and it's just the dog's like, what the fuck? Like, there's no point in this. Like, this is not fun for me, right?
Yeah.
So if you have a dog like that, like let's say Bender, we wanted to build drive, right, for the game, right, and get him to start playing.
Yeah.
I would figure out what piece of the equation does this dog really like to do first, and let's create some drive for doing that thing. So Ivan Balabanov talks a lot about, he was one of the first guys, I think, to break the mold of what play should look like, because I think historically, especially in the working dog world, everybody looked at play as like tugging, let it go, tugging, let it go, tugging, let it go, right? And they didn't want like really the possessiveness over the toy. They just wanted the dog to be basically compliant and play in this picture of what we wanted, right? And I remember Ivan came out with a DVD called The Possession Games, where he basically talked about every dog likes different things in the play process, right? And that's something, I gotta write that down. Hold on. So whatever. So he talked about every dog likes something different, right? So historically, and a lot of this is going to apply to the working dog world, but it applies to your pet dogs as well, right? Historically, a lot of people deter when they're playing with the dog. If they let the dog win the toy, if the dog doesn't immediately bring it back, right, or let it go for you, they're immediately trying to find solutions for how do we fix that problem right away, and they wind up killing a lot of the drive and the enjoyment of the game. Where Ivan said, well, if I release the toy and the dog wins it, and the dog's favorite thing to do in that moment is to do a giant victory lap around the entire yard with the toy and not bring it back to you, what's wrong with that? Right? They're enjoying it. Like, nurture that enjoyment of the game. Don't try to deter it, right? Allow them to do what they want to do in that moment, right? Or things like possession, right? How many dogs do you see that, initially in the play process, when you first start playing with them, you give them the toy and then they kind of try to play keep away. It's like, they'll go over it and go grab it, and then they grab it real quick and go run away, right? And how many owners out there scold the dog for that? They tell them, no, don't do that. You're not allowed to do that. Which, listen, over time, we have to build some compliance, right? We have to make sure we have control over that. But as we're building drive for the game, which is the first prerequisite, if that's what your dog enjoys doing, go out there and play. Let your dog play keep away with the ball for a little bit. Right? Obviously, if the dog is actually acting aggressively or having serious resource guarding issues, this is a different conversation. But if we're talking about just building drive with your everyday dog that doesn't have major behavioral issues, allow the dog to do the thing they want to do. Figure out what gets your dog going for that game and let them do that thing.